the stories from north to south to the east to the west of how many Nigerians want to leave the shores of their country. And one will imagine that it was because of what happened or the state of things back then in the country. But several years down the line, up until now that we are here, there's still the story. It's almost like it's still the same story. Many Nigerians want to leave the shores of Nigeria for whatever reason, whether by hook or crook, whether by regular migration, whether by irregular migration. And some have also noted the fact that migration is a natural phenomenon, is a natural human phenomenon, that people must move from one country to another. People must come from one country outside another country. And that is what has led us here right now, up until this moment, to really get in the heat of this thing in the Nigerian setting that we call Japa. And that's why we're here tonight on another edition of Word Bank Kingdom Conversation, still exploring the truth and the reality of Japa, faith, fear, and the future. Faith, fear, and the future. What are the reasons people leave, or the reasons why many Nigerians want to leave the shores of their country? The reasons why some have enjoyed some foreign time there and want to come back to Nigeria. Because of course we also hear the news of how many people in certain countries cry out to the foreign ministry in Nigeria about the need for them to want to come back as a result of the things they've experienced. But we are here as always, and it's been an amazing journey so far. It's been an amazing journey from the first week to the second week to the third week, and now the fourth week and the last edition for the month. It is my hope that you've gained value. It is my hope that you've learned something new. It is my hope that certain things have been clear, especially if you are on the verge of trying to leave the country, especially if you have the thought in mind to leave the country, or you're thinking or you're making plans about how to leave the country into another country. But tonight, what you're going to experience is going to be beyond conversation. You're going to experience story. We all love stories. And I hope that whatever word will come out of this place, the story that we shared today will inspire you and will help you gain clarity into this conversation, into this phenomenon, Japa, faith, fear, and the future. My name is Kayo Desoni. Once again, I want to specially welcome you to tonight's edition and the last edition for the month. It's been an amazing journey, and I know that God will, make himself manifest today. My guest, as always, I'm not here alone. You know that. I'm not always here alone. I have my guest beautifully and majestically seated in the house this evening, Mr. Taiwo Adebola. Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening.
How are you this evening?
I'm good.
Great. I'm good. I'm fine. I'm fine. I think of course, the stories that you've been here and there. You've been on both sides. But I think a good place to start will be to ask that up until the time you left the shores of Nigeria, what were your thoughts about Japa? How did you see Japa? What were your thoughts? The way you thought, the way you received the concept of Japa.
Okay, thank you. For me personally, I've never been a fan of traveling. Maybe I'm a traditional African. I enjoy African food. Okay. I love African setting. I enjoy, I'm an African to the core, so to say. So for me, it has never been something that I desperately need to do. But on the other side, for my wife, being somebody from the Niger Delta, especially from Edo State, Benin, I think she's from Auchi zone. They are stuck in trade is traveling. A typical Benin guy, Edo guy wants to travel, or Edo family has one or two persons outside the shores. So they are stuck in trade. So for her, it has always been I want to live outside Nigeria. You understand? Unfortunately for me, it's not something I desire so much. If not, maybe in my early 30s, I would have moved out a long time ago. You get what I'm saying? So, you know, I think that is it until the point in time when she now finally decided that she needs to move. You understand? But for me, it has never been something I really cherished that much.
And thank you for starting on that note.
Yes.
Apologies now. I forgot to introduce our guest.
Okay.
Our guest is Taiwo Adebola. He holds a diploma in journalism from Daily Times Training Institute. He has a BSc Sociology from Lagos State University, Masters in Managerial Psychology from University of Ibadan. He's a field sales representative for Learn Africa PLC, formerly known as Longman. He's a senior sales representative and team lead for Spectrum Books, and it's also the coordinator of Footprint Essential Service, a family business that provides services in book publishing, marketing and sales, and audio. And back to your story now.
Quickly before we move on, I was
okay.
a sales rep with Longban Nigeria Limited, which is now Learn Africa PLC.
Okay.
I was a senior sales rep with Spectrum Books.
Okay.
Yes, so not is, was.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that correction.
But presently, I run Footprint Essentials,
Awesome.
which is my own personal business.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for that correction,
Yes.
and giving us that introduction. Now back to the story.
Yes.
A typical African man. There's no need to travel, but yet you are with someone who wants to travel.
Yeah.
Because it's a journey now. We are going on a journey,
Okay.
right? How were you now able to balance that with having to live with someone that wanted to travel, but you, a typical African man?
Yes, that really created a lot of tension in my house, believe me. And you know, that will bring me to what I captioned issues at home before we traveled. Okay, because she wanted to travel, she lobbied that I should key in, but I didn't think it was what I wanted at that stage in my life. At this point in time, I was over 50s. So to me, I just wanted to run my business quietly and live my, advanced age, peacefully, happily. I'm a man of very little needs. So I wasn't hungry for money again at over 50s. So, I don't know what people do with money at that age anyway.
Oh, wow.
because you see you at that level how much can you eat? I'm a fan of flat tummy for that matter. So so what to me it's basically it wasn't what I wanted. So what I told her, is you take the kids. We had 3 of them. We have 3 of them. So you take the kids and go ahead. I will support you in any way I can. And this brought a lot of tension. In fact, we moved to the UK as a divided family. Believe me, that is the truth. We moved to the UK as a divided family. Because when I said I wasn't interested in going, but that they can go ahead, children being who they are, their level of maturity and their level of understanding, they tagged me as an enemy, somebody who didn't want them to travel. You get what I'm saying? Their dad didn't want them to travel. That was, of course, at their level, what else do you think? What else it's expected. That's how they were reason. They are young, they were teenagers, So then they now started keeping everything away from me about the traveling. You know what I mean? Hiding and doing things because I said I wasn't going. I didn't say I wasn't going to support them. The only thing I said, I'm not going. So they started the process, and they went as far as they could go. So which basically answers your question that what was happening in the family, there was a lot of tension. The family was divided. The people who were to travel saw me as an enemy because I didn't want to travel. And it wasn't that I wasn't supportive of their traveling, but because, the thinking is that he doesn't want us to go. That's why he says he's not going. So that was how the situation was in the family before we finally traveled.
Now, beautiful. And
Yes.
and we're trying to build up the story right
Yes,
right now.
Yeah.
There was tension now.
Yes.
So what now happened? What were the things that happened that later released the tension?
Okay. Can we have the battle with the Home Office, if it's necessary? Yeah. The battle with the Home Office. Let's have the pictures. Okay. The first letter, there was a letter of consent from my wife to the Home Office, the British Home Office, saying that she as the sole custodian, because I wasn't going with them, she as the sole custodian of the kids was requesting that documents be given to, she had already gone. Yes, she went in as a caregiver. So she had already gone. So she now said she wanted her kids, 2 of them, because the other one was in his final year in the university, was actually rounding up. But the other 2, the smaller ones who were, still teenagers then, she wrote that the Home Office should grant them visas to come and join her. Unfortunately, the Home Office refused. They applied for the visas, but they were not given.
Oh, wow.
So they had to come back to me because the consultant she was using now advised that I should endeavor to apply with them and go with them. That probably is the only way the Home Office will approve those documents. At that point, it wasn't that I was keen on traveling, but one of the teenagers had dropped out of Osun State University. Why? They have gone to VFS for thumb printing and all that. So, in a teenager's mind, they were already in the UK. You get what I'm saying? The effigy of VFS and all that, these days when you go there, they even give you the UK SIM card that when you get there, despite the fact that you might not get visas. You see? They give you the same card that when you get to the UK, you can use the same card. So to a teenager, they were already in the UK. So she was to write her first semester exams in the University of Osun State University. She had dropped out. She didn't go to write her exams. The second one failed his WAEC woefully. Because, the mentality of a teenager, they had already programmed themselves that they were in the UK. So I looked at the kids and I saw that if something is not done, these kids are already gone. You get what I'm trying to say? They've derailed because their mind is in the UK, despite that they are not physically there yet. So, unfortunately, my passport was even expired. So, I think I was in the process of renewing my passport. That was the time we had problems with passport booklets in Nigeria, that you will apply for passport the next 1 year. The passport is not out. So luckily, along the line, my passport came out. So I applied with them. Then the home office sent letters back to me that I should prove that my wife is my wife.
Wow.
Can you imagine? And that my children are my children. And we now started the legal battle.
Just before you go into the legal battle now,
Yes.
Thank you for even sharing that deep side of the story with
Yes.
us. But as a father, as a husband, how did that experience how did that experience made you feel?
I don't really get the question. Can you be more expansive? Yes.
Yes, you are a typical African man. You
Yes.
have the another side of your family, your wife and the mother of your children who say they want to travel by all means and they're going, and
Okay.
then it's almost as if everyone is against you. How did that
Okay.
make you feel as a father and as a husband?
You see, the truth is being being a parent is so much more than just having kids. You know, as a father, you endure a lot. It's a lot of maturity, believe me. And as at that point, I had been married for about 21 years or 20 years or so, thereabout. So it was no longer new to me. You know, we had gone through all these kind of situations. So at that point, it was no longer news. You know, family strives and all that. It's one of those things. It's one of those battles of family, of being a father, of being a family man. So it was not really too strange to me, though I more like say it affected the children more than we. The parents, because we had grown used to battles in the family. But now, you know, for the first time, the children were involved. You understand? Because all before that period, it had been battle between husband and wife. But in this particular situation, the emotions of the children were part of the problem, were part of the issues now, because they, for teenagers, they desperately wanted to travel. You know what I mean now? So it was more the new dimension to the normal thing was now the children that were so emotional about traveling.
All right, let's get back to the story.
Okay.
I let people have a feel of how that would have made you feel.
We went through it, we coped, and we moved forward. So when the letter from the Home Office came, I said, no, this is not right.
To prove that your wife is your wife.
Yes, and my children, I'm a warrior when it comes to trying to be deprived of what rightfully belongs to you. What is your right, so to say? So I told my lawyer, she fired some letters. I fired some letters as well. If we can have the second part of this slide, So we fired letters, and I think the Home Office good. The Home Office saw reason with us, and we were given documents. Victory, victory and challenges ahead. There is a slide for that. So that was how.
When you say victory, what do you mean
now? To me, because we were trying to be deprived of what rightfully belonged to what we were supposed to get. You understand? As a caregiver in the UK, you are entitled to bring in your family.
Oh, okay. Okay, so that was now the case now in this context.
Yes, it was clearly it's clearly a right.
So it was not a matter of you trying to prove if they were your wife or children. It was now a case of the fact that you are allowed to bring a dependent.
No, the two issues are interwoven.
Whoa, okay.
The two issues are interwoven.
Wow.
This is it. In order to more like, should I say, not allow families to come in, the Home Office will now put questions forward and start asking you to prove certain things, just like for me to prove that my wife is my wife. You get what I'm saying?
Marriage of 21, over 21 years.
It was really very interesting, not to say anything more.
So I don't know if the slide is available now. You're about to talk about the victory part.
Yes, victory is before Bon Voyage. The slide before this, you know, where the visas, yes, yeah. So those are the entry documents we finally got. I got for the two, the boy and the girl, and for myself. So the documents finally came.
So this victory you talk about now is the fact that your family was now allowed into the UK as a family together.
Yes, we now got permission to enter.
As a family now.
Yes.
So, but then let's not forget that there was still tension.
The tension has always been there all through. But as I said, because the kids were already derailing, I just had to work on getting them out of this country. As I said, the one in Osun State University stopped going to school. The one rewriting WAEC failed woefully because their mind was no longer in Nigeria. I needed to solve that problem. So we fought and got the documents.
Awesome. So the most interesting part for me here is the two scenarios that are quite interwoven. The tension about you trying to prove if your wife is your wife, and then the other part that, you know, everyone trying to get in between, but everyone trying to get into the UK. But it's beautiful to now realize that, you know, you needed to step in.
Yes.
Right? And you know that, and that's why I asked that at the initial stage when the tension began, that how did that made you feel? And of course you've established the fact that, you know, it's one of the things you have to experience as a parent, as a husband. But then when things began to really get out of hand, right? So let's now go to the process now, the journey. Okay, so of course, it's my assumption that the children will be happy that, oh, finally, daddy wants to be with us, right? That finally daddy wants to be with us and everyone can be together again. What was that moment like for everyone in the family?
No, I think let me rephrase that on your behalf. I think the kids were happy that they were going to the UK.
but this time
with or without daddy.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Okay. In fact, their mom suggested that I just release their documents and let them come.
Wow.
But I was afraid of that, and later I was proved right. I was afraid. We had fought seriously to get these documents. If these kids get to the entry point and they were not allowed in alone, what would we do? It would have been terrible. So we boarded here Maroc because we were tight on budget. Yes, we were tight on budget. We had to sell some things.
You have to sell some things.
Of course. You have to sell some things. I'll tell you, there are two reasons for that. I'll tell you one major reason when we get to the next chapter of this discussion. Here, Morocco was terrible. We had to go to Morocco first. The airplane was as old as and as rickety as the typical Molue of Lagos in those days.
Really?
Apologies to Air Maroc if they are angry, but that was my experience. The airplane was shaking all through the 3.5 or 4 hours flight, like a typical Molue. We got to Morocco. We had a layover of about 45 minutes. Then we got a very clean airplane, I think a Boeing, very big, very, very big, because it took about 4 flights that came from Nigeria, boarded the UK flights. So we had to wait for other flights to join us in Morocco. So the flight from Morocco to the UK, to Heathrow, was very wonderful. In fact, it was a brand new plane, so to say. By my understanding, the plane, I don't know what they call when the plane is slowing down, was slowing down for about 40 minutes before we got to Heathrow, because of the speed at which it started with. You get what I'm saying? For like 40 minutes, it was gradually slowing down before we finally landed at Heathrow. So that was how we got to the Heathrow airport.
Awesome.
Yes.
So when you arrived, let's talk about the arrival point now. Everyone had to check in.
Yes.
Did you encounter any issues around there, or was it just a smooth ride?
No, interestingly, God was already before us. We got to the check-in counter. The profiling officer, or whatever they call them, I don't know, asked me a question. What does your wife do? I answered. She asked my daughter one question. What's the name of your mom? She answered. And she stamped the 3 passports in.
Wow. Just like that.
And that was it.
So something occurred to me now that
Yes.
your wife had already been there before.
Yes.
Was it that she had already? I'm thinking in terms of accommodation now. Was it that when she got there was when she acquired a property? Did she acquire a property? Was this someone she was staying with, or she had to rent an apartment that you guys now have to stay in?
Yes, I believe she had a 2-room accommodation with 1 or 2 other colleagues.
Oh.
Yes. So, because when we got there, she was at work, so we had to wait for. I think we got to Heathrow around 7 p.m. UK time. We had to wait till about 10:30 when she left work.
10:30. You mean 10:30 p.m.?
Yes, we got around.
Wow.
We got to Heathrow around 7. Clearance, everything about 7:30.
And you had to wait till about.
Yes, at the airport waiting area. We waited till about 10:30 to 11 when she got off work.
Wow.
So when she got off work, I took the children and to her. Unfortunately, I didn't stay. Why is that? I felt at that point in time we needed a bit of space because of the tension
already at home
that we all went through before finally going to the UK. So I believe, I think that space, I study psychology, so I believe that space was necessary. So I left the children with her, and I slept at Heathrow Airport.
Wait, hold on now.
Airport
you
Hotel.
slept at the airport?
At Heathrow Airport Hotel.
Okay, at the hotel?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
okay.
well, for about, I think £150. That's about 300,000 naira.
For one night?
One night.
Okay, so you mean the space was just for that day? Or it went on?
That night, just that night.
Just that night.
Yes. Then
sorry to cut you again. What,
yes.
what was going through your mind as you were alone in the hotel room?
I said bon voyage and culture shock. Of course, everything was strange. That was my first time of traveling. I don't like planes. Yes. Well, you know why? You know why? If you are driving, if the car is faulty, you can park.
Okay.
Believe me.
Okay.
Believe me, you can park and check. I was a salesman all my life. I drove pickup throughout my career. So when your car is faulty, you park and get it fixed. The airplane can park. So generally, from my youth, I've never liked flying.
So I want you to I want us to take a pause here. I want us to make some comparisons. You were beyond the family tension and what was going on in the family. Let's look at it from at a broad perspective now, or from a broad perspective.
Okay. Nigeria,
UK, right?
Okay.
This is Nigeria. Yes, of course, there's that bias already as a typical African man.
Okay.
That let them just be here. But when you think about Nigeria and UK, even in that short moment, what were the things that you observed?
Unfortunately, I wasn't even observing anything in the UK because I had a lot of issues to solve back home. My car, I drove to Lagos, then dropped my car with a family friend to sell. That was a Camry, what we call Mozu, Camry 2.4 hybrid. So as I was in the airport, the person to buy the car, she was actually supposed to pay before I left. You understand? Unfortunately, our money was delayed. So she was busy getting me on WhatsApp and, so I had a lot of battles trying to solve, trying to connect her with the person who is with the car, trying to say okay, yes, she has discussed before, trying to get things settled. You understand? Then some issues here and there. So I was more like on WhatsApp solving problems in Nigeria. You understand?
So there was no time to even
so
observe
UK
anything.
wasn't in my head because I had a lot of issues to clear. Traveling now, you have a specific length of period to move, and being a businessman over here, I had a lot of issues I was attending to right, left, and center. So as at that point in time, UK wasn't even my headache.
So here you are now in the hotel room. The next day,
yes.
What happened then?
Yes, the next day I went to pick up my BRP.
Sorry, what's
British,
BRP now?
British resident permit. We have.
Okay, so you got that on arrival too?
Yes, of course. Automatically, you have to go and pick it up immediately. You go into the UK. Then I went to a friend's house, a friend to my sister. So I went to our own house. I was there for about 2-3 days. Then a friend got me an apartment. That other friend says he stays in Aylesbury. Aylesbury is in southeast England. You understand? Southeast. It's not London. It's outside London. You understand? My wife is in London, and the children, they are in, I think, Greenwich or something like that. They are in southeast London. So I took the train and went to meet that friend. Actually, I got to know him through a friend too. So as at that point in time, he got a room for me in a very nice area, a GRA. The house was very beautiful. The area was wonderful. The rent was £750, which is about 1.5 million per month.
Per
month.
just to take a pause here again.
Yes.
I've been hearing certain figures fly around.
Yeah.
And of course, you said you had to live with a tight budget.
Yes.
Which of course led you to take a plane in Morocco and then to Heathrow.
Yes.
The financial, dynamics. How were you able to cope?
Luckily, at that point in time, the payment for my Camry came in.
Oh, okay.
So it was sent to the UK through a friend. Which was actually sent because at that point in time I didn't have a bank account. So it was sent to that friend of mine who stays in Aylesbury. So from there he paid for 2 months rent, which was about 3 million roughly, because it's roughly times 2. What I mean is pounds is over 2,000 naira at each point in time when I was there. I think initially it was I think I went in at 17 something, 1720, 1680. But shortly, 1 or 2 weeks after, pounds became about 2,000, 2,050 naira, 2,100. So any amount you are spending there is roughly times 2 in naira. So that was how I took train. I was pulling 3 bags. I took the train. Luckily, anyhow, I got to Aylesbury. And I settled into the room. The cold was terrible, I must tell you. when you can never imagine that cold. This is cold that, I don't know, cold that can take you off the ground and take you, is it whirlwind, or how do we describe it? That kind of cold. It was December. We traveled December 27th.
Wow.
We got to UK December 28th. No, we traveled 27th. We traveled morning of 27 midnight. I think that flight was for 12:30 a.m. or something like that. So we got to Heathrow 7 p.m. on that same 27th. So the cold was terrible. I've never seen such cold before in my life.
So you're now in this apartment now, paid for, and all of that. What now happened? Of course, it's now, this is like 2 days after you go to the UK now.
Yeah, about 4 or 5 days.
So
after.
at that point, were there like expectations? Or for you it was just, let me just relax, let me just settle down?
Yes, just like you said, for me, I just wanted to take things easy. So I was communicating with the other end of the family. Okay, how do we get job? How do I get job and all that? So my wife and I were on WhatsApp. She sent message to 1 or 2 people she knew that where my husband is in town, where can he get something and all that. But mostly there what you hear is apply. So they told her that I should apply. They sent some contacts. Okay, apply. You understand? So I started the applying. That's the wait period. Can we have the other slides for the wait period? Okay, good. I sent this in so that we will all understand that all these are useless when you get there.
Wow. Talk to us about that.
Believe me.
Talk to us about
they
that.
They are useless. The best these certificates will get you is probably a car wash job or a cleaner. I don't know.
Wait, so you mean people will spend 4 years, 6 years, 7 years only for that certificate to just
maybe if it's an IT certificate, then maybe you do some certifications.
So what you're saying now is that before anyone is to leave the country, it's important that you have the standard requirements that will be useful
over there. Because anything you bring in is not their own. They don't care. They don't recognize it. I don't know if it were in other fields. I don't know. Maybe. But even somebody was sharing her experience. She left here as a medical doctor. She cleaned for one of the superstores. A medical doctor. She was sharing
a medical doctor.
She was sharing. I saw it was on Facebook that after 18 years, she's now a practicing medical doctor in the UK. After 18 years. So not to talk of with social sciences.
So this was useless.
It's useless.
Something you spent your 4 years, 5 years.
This took me about 2. This took me about 8 years.
Wow. And all that
useless.
Oh my goodness. Please go on.
So the wait period. Luckily, yes, we should. I should acknowledge the Redeemed Church in the UK. There was a lot of support. So we get food supplies from the church while waiting for job.
So there is a need for community too now.
Of course. But I must say I'm really disappointed in the Nigerian community over there. Unlike other countries, Ghanaians stay by themselves. They push themselves to get into jobs, anyhow job, just anything to do. The Nigerian will pull away from you as if you're a plague instead of trying to assist. I'll still get to that story.
Please do.
But the church was very much of assistance. I joined the Redeemed Church. So it was so much of assistance, at least in food supplies. And anything you need, you can just approach any of the elders and they will do it. Sometimes I just, because I get free rides to church, one of the elders just picks me up in the morning on the way and brings me back home after church service. So sometimes we go to the market, to the stores. He will tell me, just pick what you need. You understand?
And sorry, and all of this still happened while you were apart from your family.
Yes.
Wow. Please go on.
There was never a time I actually joined them. That's the truth. So let's move forward. So the wait period. So the whole of January, I was sleeping at home. Applying, of course. You see, the annoying thing about those applications, instead of people to be specific on what they want, there is a lot of racism over there. Believe me. It's just, they just make it look like, no, we are all the same. It's not. We are not. The gap is so much. So instead of them to be specific about who they want, they will just push in an open application, an open advertisement, as if anybody can apply. But indeed, they are not looking for blacks. Believe me. Okay, for instance, there was a laundry business that applied for just for you to press clothes, to iron clothes, and maybe work the laundry machines, the washing machines. So these are simple things now. You see, you apply. Immediately they see that you are black. They know through your hair. You just say they will stop communication with you. So the wait period, I was there February. I was still waiting. No jobs. Kept applying through agencies directly. Whatever I see, I apply. When it got to March, my friend Habib, that got me the apartment, the guy in Aylesbury, Habib said, "What do we do? Can you manage at the car wash?" I said, "Okay. I can't be sleeping at home. My rent is running." So from day one in the UK, I started paying rent of £750 per room. So when it got to first week in March, there is this car wash owned by they are Bulgarians, all these Bulgarians, those other Europeans anyway. So, believe me, all this were in freezing cold weather. So, and you'll be washing cars with your bare hands inside cold. So I joined them.
With your bare hands?
Inside cold.
So they don't provide gloves, they don't provide
even
protective
with the glove,
materials?
Even with the glove. We are talking of inside the extreme cold.
Very good.
I was there. I did it for about 4 or 5 days, but they sacked me.
Oh, wow.
Yes, they were not organized. Let me give you an example. Okay, if a car comes in, there are people who wash, then there are people who dry. For instance, if we are drying, we will be about 14 or 15. Drying a car, just using rag to dry the body after the washing.
14 people on a car.
So, and there are different sections. You understand? So if a car is out of the washing area, they might direct it. If it needs to be hoovered, they might direct it to the right. If it's just body cleaning, they will direct it to the left. So once a car is directed to the right, the whole 14 of us will go with the rag and go and clean the car.
Whoa.
Then when the other one goes to the just dry area, the whole 14 of us will run to that area again and start. I said this doesn't make sense. Why can't some of us be stationed at this end, since both or 3 or 4 ends have regular cars coming in, depending on what they need to do? You understand? On the car, some you need to hoover, some you just need to clean some things, some, different things needs to be done on different cars. Some, they just come to clean the outside body. Some you will need to clean the inside. Some you will need to polish dashboards and other things. So I said, this doesn't make sense. Why can't 4 people stay at this end, another 4 people stay here, another 4 people stay here, but they said no. everybody must go. And at the end, you will discover that maybe by the time you get there, the only space left for you to clean is just like this, and that's it. Yeah, you have walked from here to the other building just to do that.
Okay, so it was from one building to another building?
No, it was inside the same very big compound, but different sections.
Yeah. And you have to race through.
You have to walk ahead, move to the end, move to this end, move to this end. So after 4 days, we just discovered that we couldn't work together. so I stopped going.
Okay, you stopped going.
Yeah, it was both. We both realized that it wasn't working. You get what I'm saying? Maybe I was too intelligent for the operation. You understand? They saw me as maybe a rebel. You understand? I saw the operation as being not coordinated. So I think we both knew that it's not worth it. So I was paid. That was my first pay. I was paid about £230 for those 4 days I worked.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So how do they? How's the payment plan? Is it
you get paid per day, but they accommodate it and pay it once a week.
Oh.
Yeah, so it was an average of about £50 per day.
And how many hours would you have to work to get that?
It was 7 to 7.
7 a.m. to 7 p.m. washing cars.
That is why.
Or drying cars.
That is why I said their system was so strange.
And you have to do that for £50.
Yes, £50-60. They give you a tip of about £10 performance tip. Then you get about £50 as pay. So roughly £60 in a day. So I worked for 4 days. That got me about £240.
Wow.
That was my first salary in the UK. So I went back home, slept for another 4 days.
Wow.
Then there was this a more organized car wash now. It's a dealership. The dealership Paris, they sell cars, brand new cars. So the dealership has a car wash at the back of their workshop. People come in to service their cars. So after the normal servicing, the car gets to, they send the cars to the car wash. We clean it up before the owners come to pick them up. So that was a more organized system. That place we didn't need to be running about like stupid people. At a point in time, after like 3 weeks, if I was made a mini supervisor, I was now told to be going to get the cars, and that brings us to Grace Found Me. Can we have those other pictures under Grace Found Me? And that's a need. The other one, can we have the other one? Yes, that's a need. That emphasizes the need for you to be prepared when you are leaving the country. I went with my international driver's license.
Okay, so sorry, you had an international driver's license?
Yes, from Nigeria. Which gives me the authority to be able to drive in the UK for 12 months. The international driver's license gives you opportunity to drive in the UK for 12 months. After 12 months, it's no longer valid. So I also processed my temporary UK driver's license, which allows you to drive with a license, with a UK licensed driver beside you. It's what you collect to train for the driving tests. Because to them, you don't know how to drive. I drove pickup for 20-something years. Pickup is not car. Driving a pickup is different from driving a car. Because this is a pickup loaded with books, fully loaded with books. As you are going on the highway, the pickup will be moving you. So driving a pickup is not driving a car. I drove pickup for close to 20 years as a salesman in the book industry. So over there, you don't know how to drive. So, and more importantly, the importance of having a valid documentation when you travel.
Valid documentation.
Yes, because people in those days anyway, I don't think anybody talks of that again, that you enter with visiting visa, you do this, forget it.
They will find you.
You cannot even get anything to do. You cannot, even cleaner, even car wash.
So which means that while you are trying to employ, while you were seeking employment, the employers had to verify.
That's the first thing. The fine is £10,000 for the employer.
Okay.
£10,000.
Wow.
If you are found to have employed a person without validity, without a valid stay in the UK, it's £10,000. So nobody will employ you if you don't. They will even confirm. They will check before they tell you to start to come and work. They will go and check.
So that already solved the basic problem.
So when you are going, go with valid documentation. At least have one or two other things like the international driver's license. It will assist you.
And then the necessary skills that were useful there.
Necessary skills as much as you can get.
So now you're in this place now, this dealership. Yes. How long did you work there? Or do you still work there?
Yes. Yes, the car dealership, car washes are the prerogative of the Ghanaians. They dominate that industry, that sector.
Wow.
So of course it was Ghanaians I met there. They keep it close to themselves. All the dealerships, Toyota, Nissan. I was Paris does Ford. So I was with Paris. Volkswagen was there. You understand? So the different dealerships is a colony of the Ghanaians, because each of those dealerships have car washes, because people coming to, not unlike Nigeria mostly, because these cars are on, so to say, is it hire purchase? So the cars are on. They are on finance, so it covers regular maintenance, so periodically at the specified times, people bring in the cars to the workshops, and maybe if there are other things to do, they get billed for that, but the regular servicing is on the dealership. So they bring their cars back to the dealership for maintenance, majorly.
Back to the family now.
Yes.
While you began working in this new place now, was there any discussion about how to get the family together and to keep things moving, or the communication between you, your children, and your wife?
I think everybody was just too busy trying to get something doing. When my wife mentioned the kids and their schooling, I just told her, let everybody go and work first. Everybody should just go and find work first. Then we can, after some time, we can look into other things. So I was too busy trying to fight, because the rent must be paid. The rent must be paid.
What about feeding? At that point, now that you got a new job, was it still the church that was supporting? Yes,
the church is always willing to support. But of course, except you go to your mission to the UK is to go and eat. There is too much to eat. Believe me.
Oh, really?
Food is not a problem there.
Okay, food is not a problem.
In Europe, generally, I don't know about some places, but in the UK, food is not your problem. Food is ridiculously cheap. Because if you earn between 60 and 100 pounds a day, and a full chicken is £4.50, less than £5. A full complete chicken. The only thing,
complete chicken, less
£4,
than
and your daily pay is about 100 pounds. So food is ridiculously cheap. Ridiculous. So if your mission is to eat, you will eat, and you will eat. As I said, I'm a fan of flat tummies. I couldn't. Yes, I was feeding fine. I fed well. I go to the African shop, buy orishirishi.
I used to hear that the African shop is quite expensive. especially for Nigerian
not
foods?
really, not really, not
Okay.
really, not really. And when you compare it, if you translate, you try and convert it to naira, yeah, it might sound, it might sound big, but generally, not really.
A question now, as we begin to wrap up now.
Yes.
But for you as a person, obviously you had, you were okay as an African man, typical African man here, and now somehow, some way, you just had to be in the UK. Talk to us about personal fulfillment, because you made mention of the fact that you just everyone just had to fight for what you had to work to find something to do.
Yeah.
What about the place of personal fulfillment, knowing fully well that, and of course you made mention earlier that at over 50, what else are you still looking for? But here you are in a new land, fighting for work.
I think you should put it as fighting for survival. Believe me, because to survive there, you need to work. If you don't work for 2 days, you are in trouble. Because about 2 weeks roughly of your pay, of your monthly pay goes to your rent. So basically, 2 weeks of my pay is for rent. So the only pay I have is the other 2 weeks left for the month.
So what was that like for you? For a man who was in his 50 thinking that, what else am I looking for? And now you're in this new place having to fight for survival.
Yes, it's just, should I say, that was it was the reawakening, so to say. Of course, I knew I wasn't staying here. You get what I'm saying? But I also knew I wouldn't go back home empty-handed. Yes,
okay.
it was taton, where so I wasn't going to stay here.
To open.
Yes, I wasn't going to stay here, and I won't go home empty-handed.
Just before we get to this homecoming,
Yes.
what are the state of things currently in the UK with you?
I have papers for 5 years. I think 2 years are out now. I have papers for the next 3 years if I need to go in.
And you can still work.
Of course, I have a 5-year resident.
What about the
permit.
rent currently?
The rent. I don't understand that question.
Like, now that you are here now,
Yes.
is the rent still going on there? Or you
No.
had to-
You can't do that. You can't. How can you pay? You can't. So once you are outside the country, you leave the apartment. It's always a shared apartment anyway.
Oh.
So you just leave your room. They put somebody else there. When you get back, you look for another room. The rooms are always available.
So let's quickly get to this, the homecoming.
Before the homecoming, so many things happened. Let me quickly brief them if we have the time.
Just shortly now.
Very shortly. Okay. I discovered that most of the job applications, when the agencies call you to interview you, the first thing they ask is, are you mobile? Why? It's because the companies are far away from town. They don't put their companies inside. I don't know whether in London City it happens that way, but outside London, the companies are in the outskirts. And those companies are not on bus routes. They are not on train routes. So you must have a means of transportation to get there. So once you tell them you are not mobile, they will tell you, how do you get to work? The first job I got, the lady said you are supposed to get there by 4:30 a.m. How do you get there?
4:30 a.m.
Of course, they work all through. They are, depending on the shift. So I lost that job. So I got angry. I went to buy a Volkswagen Polo for about £700. Though I was later told, because there was no guidance, I told my friend, come with me. He was avoiding me. Later, he stylishly was telling me that it took him about 18 years getting to the UK before he could buy a car.
Oh, so you now trying to get a
You
car?
came in 2 months ago, you were trying to buy a car.
Hey, good.
But what he didn't realize was that the circumstances are different. He came in as a teenager, maybe as a in his early 20s. You understand? I am coming in and my plan is just to do as much as I can do and get out. So I bought a car. Luckily, there was this agency, the employment group I applied to. They called me, so I want to speed it up down so that we can. So they called me and they engaged me, then posted me to a place called Brackley. Brackley is 1.5 hours drive from Aylesbury. So every morning, I drove 1.5 hours to work. I leave home 5:30 because I have to resume by 7. So I get to Brackley, I walk. When I close, I drive 1.5 hours back to Aylesbury. So that was really my first employment. And of course, the regular working hours in the UK is 40 hours. So 40 hours, you make quite a lot of money, about average of £400.
Sorry, in this new workplace now, what were your roles? What were you doing there?
I was a warehouse operative.
Oh, okay, please go on, sir.
So averagely, you do about £400, which is about 800,000 weekly, Naira weekly. So that was from Brackley. They posted me to Gokot. That's another outskirt, but now Gokot is closer to Aylesbury. According to Google, Aylesbury to Gokot is about 45 minutes, but I do it in about 1 hour, 10, 20 minutes. Let's say 1 hour, 10 minutes, because I'm always afraid of traffic infringements, so that you don't break traffic rules. So I always take it slower. So at Gokot, I worked at HG Timber. We do pallets. They do pallets, wooden pallets for companies.
Okay.
So, yes. So that was where I stayed for quite a long time before I came home.
So now that you are here now, what does it feel like?
A lot of relief. A lot of relief, because it was like living in bondage.
Wow, really?
Sincerely speaking, people will not tell you this. Believe me, if they open the doors to the UK to people, if they don't make it this looking so difficult, I'm sure most people will go and come back. I think what makes people stay is the fact that, has struggled so much to get here.
So I can't just go back.
I can't just go back.
Man.
If you can just take a flight and go to the UK and come back at any time and go back at any time, I can assure you, you won't see people queuing at VFS.
Wow.
Believe me.
Wow. I must say thank you for sharing this story. Thank you very much for sharing this story, because it's been an amazing journey, and one thing keeps coming back again the more we keep having this conversation is this idea that under which circumstance are you living, right? Under which circumstance, why are you living? Why must you leave? And to hear your own side of the story, especially the circumstances surrounding yours, especially as a family man now, I mean that's quite a huge one. And when you hear this kind of thing, or you get to experience someone's story, the best you can do is to pick whatever works for you. Because I wouldn't know what to say, whether to say do this or do that or do that. But the story has made it clear the kind of experiences you will have. If you must go, how prepared must you be? If you want to go, how prepared are you? If you are there, what are the likely things that you are bound to expect? He has shared his own story. And of course, I believe you also represent a portion of other people that must have gone through the same thing. And it's our hope that the Holy Spirit will inspire you. Whether you're thinking about traveling out, whether you are even out there, you are like, can't go back, but you really want to come back, but somehow you've struggled hard to be where you want to be. Regardless of where you are, I pray that the Holy Spirit will help you. And special thanks to you, Mr. Taiwo. Thank you for sharing this story with us. I've been inspired. For me, it's enlightening to see that, someone having studied 4 years, you get to another country is just useless. Thank you very much for sharing that story with us. And Once again, thank you for joining us in the month of June for this theme, Japa, Faith, Fear, and the Future. I believe that you must have been blessed. I have been personally blessed, and it has been an enlightening journey for me. I've been enlightened. I now know better. If I want to travel out, if indeed I desire to travel out, I know the things to look out for. I know the kind of people to talk to. And just as I've said, whatever, all has been said and done. Pick whatever works for you. And I'm praying that God will be with you. The Holy Spirit will guide you and lead you. My name is Kari Desoni. Special thanks for joining in again on this edition of Word Bank Kingdom Conversation. We'll continue next month, and I want to say Happy New Month in advance. And don't forget that our service time we have on Saturday leaders meeting by 7 a.m. and on Sunday we resume back our regular service, Real Success Seminar, by 8 a.m. and by 9:30 a.m. we have the network service, where we are still exploring the truth and the reality of the audacity of access. And it's our hope that you join in. If you have friends coming into Ibadan, please let them know that they can worship with us and connect with us at any point in time. They can. Our doors are open Mondays to Sunday. Our doors are open. Come in, feel the fellowship, and let God bless you. And also, you can also follow us on social media. All platforms, we are there. Facebook, X, Instagram, we are there for you, and we'll be glad to receive you. And also, if you have any special prayer requests, please send them to us. We'll be glad to pray with you. And please continue to follow us and continue to share this information. If you got value, please share it with someone, or you know someone that is trying to travel out, sharing the entire series. And I know